There is nothing on the market today that can compete with the M1 MacBook Air. The darn thing was released back in 2020, and in this new world of 2022, with 12th gen Intel, Ryzen's almost over 9,000, Dell is bringing back features that we all disliked on the MacBooks. Even in this crazy future of today, nothing can compete with this over-a-year-old laptop. So why is that? Let's find out. I've, no kidding, made 21 videos either directly talking about the MacBook Air or comparing it to something else. And honestly, I don't imagine that trend is going to slow down, because despite all the hype and all the excitement from the rest of the laptop world, what else is there? Frankly, I'm getting a little worn out talking about this laptop. However, I doubt I'll be able to slow down, because this is the gold standard. This is the default unit of measurement of what a laptop can and should be. When a brand new XPS or a brand new Razer Studio hits the market, the first thing I do is compare them to the MacBook Air, because it's literally a standard. Here's the crazy part. No one is sponsoring this video. No one's ever provided me the MacBook Air in any way, shape, or form. This right here is my MacBook, and it probably has 1,000 hours of use on it. I'm not exaggerating. Hundreds, if not 1,000 hours of use. If there's one computer on this entire planet that I feel confident in talking about, it's this thing. So why are we even talking about this again? Well, I mean, simply put, a bunch of other stuff has come out with CES 2022, and all of the internet has gotten all hyped up. And I'm here to simply state that this exists, and unless you are looking to play AAA games as your primary function, you might be wasting your money not going this way. We'll skip on the spec and pricing overview, because while I could recite it from memory, because I've said it so many times, you probably also can too. All I'll say is that you can buy this brand new for around $899 on Amazon, or $849 refurbished from Apple. And either of those is a great deal, and essentially the best deal in all of laptops. I get that I've said a lot of hyperbole, a lot of excitable things so far, but here's why the MacBook Air is still the champion all this time later. First off, power. The M1 standard chip has a lot of power. That's not hyperbole. Even if you are someone that needs to see things on a bar chart in both multi-core applications and single-core applications, this tiny machine outputs more oomph than even the biggest, gnarliest, most expensive Intel i9 MacBook Pro 16. And the crazy part of that power discussion has nothing to do with the power itself, because if you are looking for a thin, light computer like the MacBook Air, and you don't get this computer, you're probably used to having to deal with garbage power. Other computers in this category generally have a dual-core Intel i3. Maybe you'll get a quad-core i5 or i7 at best. Sure, you don't really need that much power to do office tasks. I mean, like I've mentioned in previous videos, my day job computer is running an 8th generation Intel i7. That's like the power of the iPhone SE. Yes, I'm still able to be on Teams, send emails, slowly work on PowerPoint slides, and sometimes I'll even have a full day's connection to my VPN. Yay. What I really like about power for productivity machines is not so much power for power's sake. It's that I don't like when a computer has friction. Friction for me is when the computer slows down trying to open more than one document. It's when you try to transfer from a copy clipboard from Excel to Teams or vice versa. And apparently, if you're going from Teams to Excel or back, that takes the same kind of computing power and RAM loads as sending somebody to the moon, because my computer literally crashes every time I try it. But on the MacBook Air with its 8-core M1, I've literally never had a problem with day-to-day work. Not only have I never had a problem, I've never had any friction. No beach balls, nothing like that. Programs open seamlessly, they run the way they should, and thanks to the way the processor is built, you not only get power, but you get always on power. Yes, the M1 has 8 cores, but those cores are segmented into 4 power and 4 efficiency cores. So the efficiency cores are essentially always waiting for something to happen, which is why when you click on a program, it loads the second you click on them, and the laptop turns itself on even before you've finished raising the lid. But if you have a ton of tabs open, or you need lots of programs open for your work, or let's say you're video editing, those 4 power cores are really powerful, and they really don't use a lot of energy to be that powerful. This laptop has revolutionized what I can do with a small computer. Before this laptop came out, to get this kind of power, you would normally need a big gaming rig or a very high-end productivity laptop, and those laptops might not even be able to handle all the heat produced by such a powerful CPU, but we'll touch on thermal performance in a second. That you get it all in this little package for this reasonable price, legit bonkers. And while no, not everybody is a video editor, I've been able to seamlessly edit 4K 10-bit H.265 files on this machine with only 8 GB of unified memory, and I have never had an issue. Sure, mileage may vary. If you were doing a lot of heavy grades and effects work, then yes, get a system with more memory that's built for that, but it's a MacBook Air. That it can do that at all is remarkable, and I don't know that I'd be able to find any other $800 to $900 Windows laptop that could match this for power. Certainly not one that could do it as quietly or thermally efficient, and boom, we've now entered the thermal zone. Laptops need to do one thing. They need to be able to provide power without having that power limited because of heat. You can put all the cool specs you want into a laptop, but because laptops are getting smaller and smaller, you get put in a really tough spot because your consumer can absolutely waste money because your system throttles itself. Case in point, last year's Dell XPS 15 had a really nice set of specifications and included the option to have a wildly powerful 8-core 11th gen Intel i9. But even the one that I bought with the modestly spec'd i7 variant, that had thermal throttling problems. The traditional heat pipe cooling system just cannot keep up. To get good performance out of that system, you needed the vapor chamber system and extra space found in the XPS 17, but that's a gigantic, huge machine. The MacBook Air looks at both of those and scoffs because it doesn't even have a fan. This computer has no active thermal system at all, and in regular use, I've never gotten it to overheat. Even when video editing, I've not gotten it to overheat. Even when playing games for hours at a time, I've not gotten it to overheat. And I mean, I only play 2 games, so I don't know that that's all that impressive. But the only time that I've gotten close to the thermal limit of this laptop and I've made the laptop uncomfortable to the touch is when I'm specifically going out of my way to make that happen. And an ancillary benefit of not having an active thermal system is that active thermal system makes no noise. This laptop has no noise. Well, unless you want it to make noise, then it has speakers. But it doesn't unintentionally make noise. Did that sentence? There was like 5 negatives in that sentence. Back to that work computer. The second I try joining a virtual meeting or anything like that, those fans will spin up and it's just annoying. It's not as bad now because I work from home, but back when we did meetings in person and people would be talking and you could just hear the fans of the laptops all going, it's the worst, team. The power and quietness are all cool. Get it? But again, a work computer or a student computer needs to be able to work wherever, and a huge part of the domination of the MacBook Air is all of that combined with its battery life. Team, it's good. It's more than good. It's fantastic. Literally, mine will last me for days. I don't even worry about the darn thing running out of power if it was charged once in the last couple of days. The only time I run into power problems with the MacBook Air is when I get overconfident and I don't charge it for like a week. So long as you plug it in overnight every now and again, you will have no issues. Just don't get overconfident because then it's not magic. It needs electricity at some point. Apple reports 18 hours of life, and sure, I don't specifically know if I run a 24-hour YouTube video, whether this laptop will die in 18 hours, or 17 hours and 31 minutes, or 12 hours and 51 minutes. That's not how I use my tech. Plus, in another win for the Apple laptop, when you are running off of that battery, you get full access to all the laptop's power. This isn't like in Windows land where you lose a big chunk the second you become unplugged from the wall. So right here, you essentially get a computer that has more power than previous expensive juggernauts. It has battery life longer than anything else other than options that are more expensive in its own segment, like the MacBook Pro 14. It rarely heats up, it makes no noise, and it works everywhere? You tell me. You tell me what other laptop at this price point, or I'll even give you twice as expensive, what can keep up with this? And we're not even done yet. Body-wise, this thing is an absolute marvel as well. It's super thin, super light, and can fit into backpacks or bags that are normally meant for tablets. If you were carrying this around the office or around campus, I would be very surprised if you even noticed that you were carrying this around. Plus, the typing experience on here is the best of any laptop that I've ever used. The body has this wedge shape that allows for your palms and your wrists to be totally comfortable as they are supported by the computer itself. So the body of the laptop becomes a comfortable little palm rest while you are working. It's so much better than the other MacBooks because they've got real sharp edges. This does have sharp edges, but because those are not wedged, it can dig into your forearms after enough time goes by. Here, you are comfortable, you're in a nice neutral, relaxed position, and the keys themselves feel great to type with. Snappy, accurate, the keys are perfectly spaced out, and it's just easy to get into a good report writing groove. I cannot say enough good things about this keyboard, obviously, because I've tried 21 other times. Fam, it's just darn good. The display, it's okay. It's not great. For the price, it's pretty good. And it is a high quality Retina panel, but its biggest problem is that it only goes up to 400 nits of brightness. You just aren't going to see this very well if you were trying to work outside in direct sunlight, or if you were in a home office that has lots of natural lights. Like, I'm pointing to a blank wall, I don't know why I'm doing that. But if you have a home office that has lots of big windows, you might have some viewing problems throughout the day. I do wish this could go up to as bright as the M1 MacBook Pro 13 because it can do 500 nits of brightness. No, it's not that big of a difference from 400 nits of brightness, but every little bit helps. That's a small thing though. The only real problem I have with the M1 MacBook Air is something that is the same with all the standard M1 computers. They all use Thunderbolt 3, and Apple's specific flavor of Thunderbolt 3 this time around only allows for one external monitor. Yes, there are workarounds, but I don't like mentioning workarounds if they aren't specifically endorsed by the OEM. And it's not even that big of a deal for me because I personally only use one external display anyway. I'm not a Wallow Monitors hacker person, but if you are, okay, this could cause you some problems. Besides that though, because it has a low power requirement and can do one 6K monitor out through that Thunderbolt 3, if you are on Team Single Monitor, which let's be honest, Team Single Monitor is the best team, by the way, this laptop works perfectly as both a travel laptop and a home desktop computer with literally one cable. Okay, another thing I don't like having two Thunderbolt ports right next to each other, but again, for this price, it's really kind of hard to get worked up about these because there's so much the MacBook Air does right. Heck, the new Dell XPS isn't even gonna have a headphone jack. This has a headphone jack. What world are we living in that Apple has all the ports? Bottom line, I wouldn't want to try and make a productivity laptop against this one. And if you like this video and you want to see my thoughts on the only real rival to the MacBook Air, because it has more ports in the body, you can check out my 3-month update on the M1 Pro MacBook Pro 14 by clicking right here. Click, 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 click. Thanks for watching.